Alrighty, folks, we are back. We got some more Fire Emblem Heroes goodness for you today, and we're going to be taking a look at the premier bow merge projects in the game. Now, I decided to group all the colored bows in together with the colorless bows. I don't really see a reason to specify like red bows and blue bows and green bows, etc., because we really don't have that many of them anyway. So I just grouped all the bow units in here together. When we do the tome video, I'm not going to be able to do that though, because the tomes are like, we have so many tome units, I would have to break those up by color. But for bows, we can get away with just having all of them in one video. Now, we're starting things off with Cyril here. He is the most recent Grand Hero Battle release that we got, and because of that, he scores massively high. He scores higher than Lumera and Fallen Linus and all of those guys. So if you're looking for a scoring merge project for Arena, this guy is going to be your man. Also, with that ranged weapon, that's very good for Arena. Ranged weapons just make Arena so easy. So he's going to be really good for that. He has a super boon on defense, but you don't need to take it because his BST will already pass 195 with any regular boon. So just go plus speed and plus attack for more damage and more speed. And as far as his weapon goes, he gets all stats up 10 if he's at level 40. He gets a flat speed up 3, which is really good. And then also he nullifies his own penalties, and he also gets 20% bonus damage based on his speed. His weapon doesn't have -1 special trigger, by the way, so if you were to support him with Rally Spectrum from Robin, he could just insta-charge his Ruptured Sky on that first attack and just clap the foes in the face. So pretty nice. For this build, I went for Hexblade, Physical Null Follow-Up, and Oath 4, just for the adaptive damage, and then also cutting DR in half, and then being able to jump and get some bonuses to attack and speed. And Bonus Doubler, I think, is his best bet, because if you can get the defense and res up 6 on him from any of your other ally supports, the plus 10 to all stats from his weapon is really going to make this guy a thick boy. So you want that Bonus Doubler giving him all stats bonuses right there. So a very, very strong merge project, and he's a red bow too, which he's the only red bow on this entire list, by the way. So if that matters to you, then Cyril is really your only option, and it's good that he's great at it. Okay, next up we have a 3-star demote, and a rather recent one at that. So Dorothy, best girl from FE6. Dorothy is crazy, man. Like, they made her a caveman in Fire Emblem Heroes. I have no idea why. Her attack is just, like, sky high for no reason at all. Nice attack stat there, by the way. But Dorothy has a super boon on speed, so we're going plus speed, plus attack. And she came out at the perfect time. She came out right before Choose Your Legend 7, so she was affected by the Feather Cap raise. And her already really nice stat line just got even better because of that. Now, there are 2 other demote bows that are similar to Dorothy. Those are Etier and Kiragi. Now, Kiragi is able to speed tie with Dorothy. They both have the same speed, and they both have the super boon. But Dorothy's got, like, what, 8 more points of attack over him? He does have more defense, but that's completely irrelevant when we're running Dark Bow anyway, because you just get the Desperation. And you don't really need to worry about enemy counterattacks with that, so, like, Kiragi loses, and then Etier loses as well, because every relevant stat, Dorothy is just better than her in as well. Etier doesn't even have super boons on attack. She might have one in speed, but I think her speed was pretty bad, and well, not bad, but just worse than Dorothy's. So Dorothy is our girl for a 3-star and 4-star bow demote. And skills should be pretty self-explanatory. I'm not trying to say any of these builds are definitive, by the way. These are just example builds to show what these units could be capable of. And we've got Finish 4 here, Special Spiral 4 to loop Luna over and over, Oath for jumping, Blade Session for as much attack and speed as possible. And that should be pretty much all there is to say about Dorothy. Very, very good merge project. Okay, next up we have the Christmas Ignatz here. This guy is an armored bow type, and he's pretty solid. He held up pretty well. The additional flowers really helped his overall BST. I don't believe he had a super boon on any of his stats, but that's fine. You just go plus speed, plus defense anyway. You could go plus res as well and power up armored flow even more, but I went for plus defense here just to round out his stat line a little bit better. His defense doesn't break 40 without the plus in defense, so I just went with that. And being a fast armor type unit, you're free to run the fast save build here. So attack speed far save, attack and speed form 3, Kestrel stance for guard and more attack and speed, and then savvy fighter for null follow-up and 40% DR on the first enemy hit. Armored flow really works well on this guy, and he's really lucky that this came out, and armored bacon as well, because otherwise the ranged armored units cannot have hardy fighter and they can't have Pavis and Aegis. So these skills came out in the nick of time for these guys. So very nice. Ignatz is a nice merge project. Okay, next up we have another heroic grail option here. This list is like dominated pretty much by all heroic grail bow units. There's a lot of good ones. So Elencia here, this is our first blue bow that we're taking a look at, and that's very nice. She's also the first flyer that we're taking a look at, and theoretically the only flyer we're going to look at as well. There is one other flyer I'm going to mention, but he's only an honorable mention. So Elencia is our girl for building a bow flyer. And she does have a super boon on speed, so make sure you get that with the trait fruits. The build I'm running here, or at least showing as an example here, is just a maximum power build here. So attack and speed catch 4 and blade session give us the most attack and speed out of the A and seal slot. You could also go for flared sparrow as well, because the 7 true damage will easily outdamage attack and speed catch, but I feel like the extra speed may come in handy, so just decided to show that skill. Seal defense 4. Flyer range units are kind of still looking for a good B skill. So for the time being, the seal level 4s can definitely work out. But when we get something better, that will definitely overtake seal defense 4. But for the time being, it can do minus 11 defense if the enemies have no debuffs. So a pretty crazy amount of stats to be getting, or extra damage to be getting out of the B slot anyway. Soaring guidance and drawback for the wombo combo in summoner duels. You just jump into a unit, draw back, and then you extend the reach of the unit you're drawing back by extra. So can catch people off guard there. And then Deadeye, of course, turns off DR. So should be self-explanatory. Alright, next up we have Leone here, who is a cavalry bow unit. This one is a colorless type, and she does have a super boon on speed. So again, make sure you go for the trait fruits on plus speed. Dark bow, once again, I mean, bow units, bows are also in the same boat as lances, where both of their arcane weapons are pretty strong. So you can run arcane dark bow on the fast ones, and then arcane Nastron on the slow ones. So, well, this guy's not necessarily slow, but like the bait units want this one, and then the player phasers want this one. So just some nice mix-ups there from the arcane bow. And as far as the build goes, this is a funky one that I came up with here. So we got Flared Sparrow, we have Kanto for the Wombo combo, and Defense and Res Smoke can give her Pathfinder after she attacks. So how this would work is you go in, you attack the enemies with Flared Sparrow, you debuff, you pull back with Kanto because Escape Route's Kanto effect will activate if you end combat without full HP, which Fury 3 is here to do. After we attack the enemies, we're just going to get Fury chip damage, and then we can Kanto away, and then queue up Pathfinder, and a whole bunch of nonsense will ensue. So that's why I decided to go for this build. And her stat line held up really well. I guess Fury 3 is giving us bonus visible stats, but she still held up pretty well in terms of stat line, and the extra flowers really helped her out. So Leone is still a pretty good merge project overall. Okay, I don't know why Norn was selected first there. We'll talk about her in due time. Next up, we have Felix here, who is another Grand Hero battle, well, Tempest Trial unit, but you get him with heroic grails all the same. He is a blue bow type, and we're going for Nastron once again, similar to Ignatz. Now, in terms of stat line, I would say Ignatz is probably slightly better than Felix. However, they're not really that different. They have very similar stat lines. Felix has more attack and more defense, whereas Ignatz has got more res. So whichever one suits your purposes better, you can go ahead and build, or whichever one is your favorite character. But there is one defining difference, which is that Ignatz is colorless and Felix is blue. And blue is actually a good color because a lot of the threatening offensive units right now happen to be red. So Legendary Hinoka, Legendary Veronica, and company, those red type units, it's very nice to get color advantage on them. So that's just one little bonus in Felix's favor. He doesn't have a super boon on anything, so just go plus speed, plus res, or plus defense if you want to make bacon even stronger. Make that bacon even oilier and juicier. All right, we got Kestrel Stance, Savvy Fighter, Far Save. Basically the exact same build I gave to Ignatz, but showing off Deflect Missile here just for a mix-up. You could still go for Attack and Speed form, but Deflect Missile helps in the Hinoka matchup because with Guard from Kestrel Stance, unless she's getting outside sources of special cooldown reduction, Hinoka herself is not able to get to Deadeye in one round of combat if you have Guard. So this will allow us to just survive a round of combat with her with Deflect Missile, so that's why I went with that there. And overall, pretty solid merch project. This guy aged really well. Okay, we have Zagaro up next, a.k.a. Sedgar. Yeah, from my most hated Fire Emblem game ever. Shadow Dragon, I hate that game. But that's besides the point. This guy is a Grand Hero Battle unit, so another Heroic Grail unit, man. So many really good bows in the Heroic Grail shop. But regardless, this dude is a Green Bow Cavalry type. We haven't taken a look at that type of unit before. Arcane Dark Bow once again. I'm showing off a different build here. You could run the same exact build on him that I gave to Leone. But again, just to show off some different skills here. We've got Lul's Speed and Defense 4, which is hella underrated, man. So many units are giving out start of turn bonus effects that you're easily going to get this to maximum power if you're playing Summoner Duels. So that's why we got that. Colorless Feud just to deal with Fallen Maria that may show up, and like also colorless units in general. And just Blade Session and Catch 4 for more damage. So yeah, pretty solid. He's got a super boon on speed as well, should mention that. So if you want to go plus speed, then by all means go for it. Alright, so the final three we have here, these are actually easier to get because they are 3-star demotes on the banner pulls. So you don't have to spend the Heroic Grails to get these guys the plus 10. And we're starting things off with Python here, who is a Green Bow Cavalry type, just like Sedgar is. But his stat line, not quite as strong, but his refine is okay. It does, what does it do? Attack and speed up 5, I believe, and then inflicts speed and defense -5 on the enemy. So you could equate that to attack and speed up 10 for him. And then it also has this effect where it can flip the enemy bonuses into penalties. So like if they've got +6 to speed and defense, you can flip that into being -6 to speed and defense. And then he further does the speed and defense -5. So just an interesting little bow. And we're going for Remote Sparrow and Brash Assault here just to up his survivability since we're not getting instant desperation from Dark Bow. Also, he doesn't have -1 special triggers, so this would be another unit to support with Rally Spectrum to get that really early Deadeye there. And then just Defense and Res Smoke and Attack and Speed solo. He doesn't have any super boons, so don't have to worry about any of that. Python was this guy's partner in crime, by the way. Python, or not Python, Wrath was this dude's partner in crime. They came out like at the same time. Same movement type, same weapon color, and they have very similar stat lines, but Wrath has not gotten his refine yet, so Wrath could be real interesting once he gets his refine. Okay, we have Tanya up next. Tanya really won the refine lottery, by the way. Her refine gave her everything she wanted. So she gets like all stats up 8, she gets adaptive damage, she gets bonus damage based on her speed stat, and then she also does one more thing. I think she flips enemies' bonuses into penalties or something like that. I can't remember off top, but it's a very good weapon, and we're running a different build here. You could run the same build, obviously, as I gave to Dorothy here, but again, just to show some different examples. We've got Flashing Sparrow to get the special ramp and the bonus to attack and speed. Desperation 4 to hit twice in a row. And then we got Attack and Speed 04 and Blade Session as well. The reason why we're doing it this way is because you wouldn't want to run Dark Bow over Vile Drake Bow. Her stat line is not strong enough to really stand up unless she's using this weapon here. So that's why we're going for this. No super boons to worry about either. Just go plus attack and speed and you should be fine. And then finally Norn for the 3-star demotes here. Man, Norn is such a nostalgic one because we used to run her all the time back in the day. But time has not really been too kind for Norn. Also, they really delegated her refine to just being a bait weapon, so a little bit of a downside there as well. She gets all stats up 8, and then she inflicts attack and speed -5 on ranged opponents. So you want her to primarily just play a bait role. She also inflicts guard and gets 7 HP recovery after combat. So I just thought to go Null Sea Disrupt here to deal with like Hinoka and Veronica. We got Deflect Magic because Brave Attack mages are still scratching their head on how they want to turn off damage reduction. So Deflect Magic can really help with that. You got Finish 4 for more sustain, more damage, more power, and then Oath for the jumping and all that good stuff. It's kind of dubious running Norn these days. Honestly, I'm not going to lie, but if you are going to go for it, then this would probably be the best build you could go for, I would imagine. Okay, we have an honorable mention here. We're going to start with the 2 units over here. So these are going to be seasonal 4-star demotes, meaning that instead of heroic rails and feathers, you're going to have to spend orbs if you want to get these guys to +10. However, they are very cost efficient, being 4-star demotes on seasonal banners, and they are very goddamn strong. So just another point in their favor. So Babyback, a really, really good unit. She has -1 special trigger. She has a times pulse effect if she's in 3 spaces of an ally at the start of the turn. She gets all stats up 5. She gets 60% damage reduction against beast enemies, and then 30% damage reduction against ranged cavalry and flyers on her first round of combat with them. Or not the first round of combat, the first attack that they hit her with. And then also she does 7 true damage when triggering a special, which also includes AoEs. So just a very, very good weapon that they decided to give to this demote here. So we've got lull, speed, and defense 4. We've got Deadeye. We've got attack and speed finish 4. And times pulse combined with the pulse smoke or just pulse effect from her weapon lets you insta-charge Deadeye. So that's exactly what we want to do. She has a really good stat distribution here. So we're going for plus attack and plus speed. Her super boon was on defense, but I mean 28 defense. Good luck with that. So just go plus attack and speed if you decide to build her. And then finally, we have the Winter Annette. So all 3 of the Winter 3 Houses characters, all of them happen to be armored bows, and all of them happen to be really good. So Annette actually scores pretty solid. She scores in the 190 bin. She doesn't have a perf weapon, though, so units like Lumera and Holst and Fallen Linus would still be able to score that much higher than her. But she still scores relatively close to them. And for her, we're going for a more like slow armored build here. As I said earlier with Felix and Ignatz, these ranged units unfortunately can't have Hardy Fighter or Pavis and Aegis. So we're just going for armored flow here. We've got Special Fighter 4 instead to give guard to enemies and then get special ramping. It also gives her recovery when she deals damage with armored flow, which is really nice. So that's what we're going for here. You could go for plus res for the Ivies instead. She has a super boon on attack, so I went with that. But then for defense and res, it's up to your own discretion. You could go plus res to make armored flow a little better. And then we got defense and res far save and defense and res form there for more defense and res stacking. So that would be my suggested build for her. Fire Flood boost as well, also just to get a lot of attack and res and also HP there, which is really nice. So next up we have 2 honorable mentions. First up is the Wyvern Ninja Heath. This guy, I feel like his stat line is really good. He's slow and then he's got a lot of attack and defense, which seems counterproductive for bow units, but he can actually do some pretty interesting things here. So for this idea build, I just went with impact here, so he can attack the enemies. He's going to most likely survive if they are a physical type, and then escape route will let him canto away, and then he can queue up guidance 4 or soaring guidance, whichever one you want, so your allies can then jump into him. So that was the idea here. His stat distribution, like I said, I think is really solid. He has a super boon on attack as well, so really what I think he's just missing is some better passive skills. Like if we get a Gambit 4 for range units, that would be really nice on this guy. So just hold tight with him. He's an honorable mention. I wouldn't recommend building him right now or investing the orbs in him, but if he's a favorite and you already did, then some ideas here. And then finally, I had to mention Baby Innies because he was the OG back in the day. This was our bow unit of choice. And he could actually come back into the spotlight if he gets a refine, man. This dude would be cooking with a refine. His weapon still kind of is good. -1 special trigger, attack and speed up 6, and then nullifies enemy DR when he triggers a special and gets +7 true damage. So with a refine, this easily overtakes both of the arcane bows. So only time will tell what's going to happen to Baby Innies, but he does have that super boon on speed, and his stat line is still kind of okay. Not quite as crazy as like Babyback or also Dorothy or even Cyril at this point, but all it takes, man, is just one good refine, and then he's all of a sudden back in the spotlight. So that's going to wrap us up for this video here. We took a look at all the demote bows or easily buildable bows that I could find, all the ones that stood out anyway. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. This is your boy Tacho signing out. So take care, fellas, and I'll catch y'all again on the flip side.